The first time my son told me I couldn't come inside the house I bought him, he didn't raise his voice. He didn't slam a door. He smiled. A thin, careful smile, like he was sealing something shut. "Don't step in, Mama," Malik said, eyes flicking past my shoulder as if the neighbors might be watching. "Just don't!" The late October wind off Lake Michigan cut between the brick buildings and slipped under my coat. Chicago always finds the weak seams, but the cold that gripped me in that moment had nothing to do with weather. It came from the way Malik stood in that doorway, shoulder angled to block the entry, like I was a stranger trying to force my way into his life. I held the envelope with the keys so tightly, the corner creased my palm. The metal inside clinked once, small and obedient, like it didn't understand it had just become the soundtrack to my humiliation. "Why?" I asked. "Baby, I just wanted to see it. I bought it for you." Malik's jaw tightened. He leaned closer, and I caught the scent of something expensive. Clean citrus and cedar, the kind of cologne that says you've arrived, and you expect the world to move out of your way. "It's not about the house," he whispered. "It's about you." His eyes dropped to my coat, the same charcoal wool I'd worn for 6 winters, the elbows polished soft. He didn't say the word poor. He didn't have to. "You smell like old life," he said, almost apologetic. "Bus seats, library dust. That smell gets into things, paint, carpet, furniture. Vivian's parents will be here soon. I can't have the place smelling like that." Smelling like that. I stood frozen on the top step, breath turning to fog. My own son, my Malik, was talking about me like I was mildew. He didn't just want me out of the house. He wanted me out of the story. Dear listeners, before we open this difficult chapter of my life, I'm asking for a little support. If stories about a woman's strength, boundaries, and justice resonate with your heart, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and write in the comments which city you're listening from. It matters more than you think. And now, let me tell you what happened when a single mom betrayal stopped being a fear and became my address. 10 years. That's how long I saved to put Malik in a different zip code. 10 years of saying no to myself so I could say yes to him. I worked at the library downtown, where the air smells like old paper and quiet promises, and I kept my own wants folded small in my pocket. Malik grew up watching me be careful. He watched me count bills at the kitchen table, sliding money into envelopes marked rent, lights, food. He watched me stretch a pot of beans into 3 meals and call it planning. And more than once he promised, "Mama, one day I'm going to take care of you." I believed him, because mothers do that. We take a sentence a child says at 17, and we build a whole future around it like it's a foundation. When Malik brought Vivian Sterling around, I tried to be happy without letting my fear show. Vivian came from money that spoke in soft voices and hard expectations. The first time she met me, she shook my hand and called me Ms. Monroe, like she didn't know whether to treat me as family or as staff. When the house came on the market, 3 bedrooms, finished basement, a little backyard, I told myself it was a gift. A stepping stone, a way to prove Malik didn't come from nothing. On closing day, I signed my name until my wrist cramped. When the notary said, "Congratulations," my eyes burned. Not because I cared about owning property, because I cared about owning my son's future. Malik hugged me outside, quick and tight. "Thank you, Mama," he murmured. "This changes everything." I rode the bus home with the spare key in my purse like a hymn. I wanted to walk through that front door just once and breathe in the smell of fresh paint. Instead, a week later, I stood on that porch and got stopped like a delivery driver with the wrong package. "Just wait outside," Malik said, forcing lightness into his voice. "Vivian's mom has allergies, and what?" I asked, though something in me already knew. He exhaled sharply. "And your coat, your perfume. It's strong. It makes the place feel old." My perfume was the same one I'd worn since Malik was a toddler, powdery and soft, like clean sheets and Sunday morning. Not fancy, but mine. Malik spoke like it was a stain. Please don't take it personal, he said. I'm trying to help us. People judge, Mama. Vivian's family. They notice things. People judge. And my son had decided the first thing that needed fixing was me. He took the small boxes I'd brought, kitchen towels, a framed photo of his graduation, without letting our fingers touch. Just go home, he said. I'll call you later. Then he stepped back into the house and closed the door with a gentle click that still lives in my bones. I walked to the bus stop like my knees belonged to somebody else. I sat on the bench and stared at my hands, the same hands that shelved books all day, and signed my name onto a mortgage I didn't even get to see from the inside. On the ride home, I did what mothers do best. I swallowed the insult and tried to digest it. He's stressed. He's in love. He wants to impress them. He didn't mean it, but insults don't always dissolve. Sometimes they harden. Sometimes they turn into a cold, clear understanding. I wasn't being loved. I was being managed. That week, Malik didn't call. No, thank you. No, did you make it home okay? The silence sat in my apartment like an extra tenant. I kept replaying his words, old life, until they sounded like a verdict. I even sniffed the cuff of my coat, like you check milk that might have turned. All I caught was detergent, paper, and the menthol rub I used on my knees. Honest things. But Malik had made them shameful. In my mind, I saw him hosting Vivian's family, laughing too loud, pretending I didn't exist. A quiet eviction of a parent, delivered politely. I realized this wasn't just a fight. It was a toxic son and mother pattern I'd been excusing for years. I tried to pray it away, but the apartment felt like it was holding its breath, like something was waiting to be uncovered. Hidden documents discovery, explaining why my own child needed me outside right now. Exactly 7 days after he shut that door, my phone rang. An unfamiliar number. A man's voice, rough around the edges. Ms. Monroe? Yes. My name is Reggie Watkins, he said. I'm a contractor, plumbing, basement work. I'm at your son's house. He paused, and I heard the low echo of an empty room behind his words. Ma'am, you need to come down here. My stomach dropped. Is Malik hurt? No, Reggie said quickly. He's fine. This isn't about an accident. Another pause, heavier. It's about what I found hidden behind the insulation near the utility box. I've seen folks hide cash, hide shame. But this? This looks like the start of a forged house deed. The air in my apartment went thin. What are you saying? I asked. I'm saying it smells like a mortgage fraud scheme, Reggie replied. And if I'm right, it's bigger than your son. Somebody's trying to move paper around like people don't matter. My fingers tightened around the edge of my table. Hidden where? Behind the insulation, he repeated. And it was tucked inside a diaper bag, like somebody thought family would make it invisible. He exhaled slow. Ma'am, I don't throw words around, but this is giving identity theft family. Real estate scam family drama. The kind that ends with somebody losing a house they never got to enjoy. All week, I'd been asking myself what I smelled like. Library dust? Cheap soap? Old age? Now I knew. I smelled like a problem Malik couldn't afford to have alive. And that, dear listeners, is the moment I stopped being a mother who begged to be loved and became a mother who stood up for herself. Don't go anywhere. Because what I found inside that diaper bag in Malik's basement didn't just threaten the house, it threatened my name. I don't remember putting on my shoes. I only remember Reggie Watkins' voice in my ear, steady, urgent, and the way my stomach dropped. Ma'am, he'd said, you need to come down here. Outside, Chicago's wind shoved at my coat as if it wanted me to turn back. I didn't. I ordered a rideshare, slid into the back seat, and gave the driver the address Malik had been calling his, with that proud little lift in his voice. My son's house, the one I bought, the one I wasn't allowed to enter. As the city rolled by, my mind tried to protect me. Maybe Reggie found a contractor's bill. Maybe Malik had been cruel on the porch because he was nervous about Vivian Sterling's family and their polished expectations. But a colder thought kept tapping at my ribs. Nobody hides innocent paperwork in a diaper bag. When we turned onto Malik's street, the neighborhood looked too calm, too clean. Malik's place sat in the middle of it, lights on, curtains drawn, like someone was staging a life. Reggie waited in the driveway beside his work van, mid-50s, broad shoulders, hands that looked like they'd wrestled 1,000 pipes into submission. His expression wasn't curiosity. It was concern. "Ms. Monroe," he said. "Thanks for coming fast." "Tell me you're wrong," I whispered. "I hope I am," he said. "But I've seen this before. Come on." He didn't lead me to the front door, the door Malik guarded like a boundary line. He took me around back. The moment I stepped inside, the house hit me with that new place smell. Drywall, primer, lemon cleaner. Not home. Just presentation. "Malik here?" I asked. "No," Reggie said. And I didn't call him. Not yet. We crossed the kitchen, spotless counters, untouched appliances, and Reggie opened a door in the hallway and pointed down. "Basement!" The stairs creaked as we descended. The air cooled, dampened, and the smell shifted to concrete and old metal. A work light hung overhead. On the far wall, a section of insulation had been pulled back, exposing wiring and pipes. "That's where I was tracing a sweat line," Reggie said. "When I moved the fiberglass, I felt something solid behind it. Not a pipe. Something placed." He reached into the cavity and pulled out a faded diaper bag covered in cartoon animals. My breath caught so hard it hurt. "That was Malik's," I said, like naming it could make it harmless. "I carried that everywhere." Reggie set the bag on a workbench. "That's why I called you. Whoever hid this wanted it to look like family stuff. Like nothing." My fingers trembled at the zipper. For a second, I saw Malik as a baby, warm, trusting, his cheek against my collarbone while I rode the bus home from a late shift, promising him out loud, "I got you." Now the same bag sat in a basement wall, like a lie wrapped in nostalgia. I unzipped it. Inside was a thick manila folder sealed in plastic, taped tight. Not the kind of thing you forget. The kind of thing you bury. I peeled the tape away, one slow strip at a time, and slid the folder out. Reggie didn't look at the papers. He looked at me. "If I'm right," he said, "this is a forged house deed, or the start of one." I opened the folder, and my eyes went straight to my name, Loretta Monroe, printed crisp at the top of a copied document, then my signature at the bottom. Only it wasn't mine, not fully. It leaned wrong. The loops were stiff, like someone had practiced my name until it looked convincing enough for a clerk who didn't care. I turned the page and the room tilted. A deed transfer form. Draft language. My name listed as the one giving away the house. Malik's name listed as the one receiving it. And a date stamped 2 years back. 2 years before I'd even stepped into a closing office for this place. "This can't be real," I breathed. Reggie's voice hardened. "It can be recorded if someone files it. Then they borrow against the property, move money, open credit lines. A mortgage fraud scheme doesn't need your permission, just your information." I flipped again and found a bank notice with official letters. Notice of default. My name. A loan number. A payment schedule. I stared until the ink blurred. "Identity theft family," Reggie said quietly. "When it's strangers, it's theft. When it's blood, it's uglier. It's real estate scam family drama that ends in court." Above us, the house made a settling sound. My body locked, expecting Malik's footsteps. I realized how trained I'd become to brace for my own child, for the next gentle sentence that would make me feel like an inconvenience. No footsteps came. I swallowed, forcing my lungs to work. "What do I do?" Reggie didn't rush me. "You can call the police right now," he said. "Or you can gather what you need so nobody can spin you, so nobody can say you're confused, emotional, imagining things." There it was, the unspoken weapon. The way people dismiss older women, especially a Black woman with a library paycheck. The way a toxic son and mother story gets rewritten until the mother sounds unstable and the son sounds stressed. I heard Malik's voice from the porch in my memory. "You smell like old life." It hadn't been about smell. It had been about evidence. I was the living proof he couldn't scrub out with lemon cleaner. He kept me outside because of my old life, I said, and my voice shook once before it steadied. But it wasn't my coat. It was my name. Reggie nodded. Shame is step 1. Theft is step 2. I looked down at the diaper bag, those cartoon animals grinning under the harsh work light. My chest hurt, but the pain was changing shape. The single mom betrayal was still there, raw and bitter. But underneath it, something stronger was rising. A boundary, a spine, a decision. I lifted the folder like it weighed more than paper. Copy everything, I said. Every page, every number. Reggie's eyebrows rose. You sure you want to stay here? I thought of Malik's polite smile when he shut me out. I thought of the default notice trying to strangle me with my own signature. I thought of justice for single mother, not as a slogan, but as survival. Yes, I said. Tonight, I stopped being the secret he hides. Reggie set his phone on the workbench and slid it toward me like it was a weapon he didn't want to touch. On the screen was a photo he'd taken before I arrived. The diaper bag half buried behind the insulation, wedged tight beside the junction box. My son hadn't tossed it down there in a lazy moment. Somebody had placed it, carefully, like a time capsule meant to stay sealed until the house was no longer mine to question. You said copy everything, Reggie reminded me. We can do that, but you need to understand what you're holding. I stared at the stack again. The papers looked ordinary, forms, stamps, numbers, until you noticed how they tried to rearrange my life without asking. What else do you see? I asked him. Reggie rubbed the bridge of his nose, the way a man does when he's tired of watching people hurt each other. I see a roadmap, he said. I see a forged house deed draft, a default notice, and a loan structure that assumes the borrower can't fight back. That's usually older folks alone, folks who trust family. Like me, I whispered. He didn't disagree. I swallowed hard. Let's get copies, tonight. Reggie's van had a small printer scanner in the back, one of those portable setups contractors use for invoices. He ran an extension cord from the basement outlet and started feeding pages through, one after another. Each time the machine whirred, it felt like a heartbeat. Each time it spat out a copy, it felt like a piece of my past being dragged into the light. While he worked, I stared at the basement walls. Fresh studs, new insulation, all that effort to make something look clean. And behind it, rot. Not mold, not termites, a plan. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Malik. The name flashed bright as a warning. For a second, my hand hovered, old instinct rising. Answer, smooth it over, protect his peace. That was the rhythm of our relationship. I did the swallowing. He did the taking. Reggie looked up. You want me to step out? No, I said, surprising myself. Stay. I answered on the first ring. Hello, baby. His voice came warm and light, like he was calling from sunshine. Hey, Mama, where you at? In my apartment, I lied easily. The lie felt like putting on a coat. Why? I just wanted to check in, he said, and I could almost hear his smile. You sounded off earlier this week. Earlier this week, like he hadn't shut me out on the porch, like he hadn't told me my presence was a smell he couldn't allow. You're sweet to call, I said, keeping my tone soft. Everything's fine. Good, Malik said, because Vivian's parents are coming over in a bit. Big dinner. I'm trying to keep everything smooth. My stomach clenched. You're hosting them at the house. Yeah, he said quickly. I mean, of course. It's our first time, showing them I can handle things. Our first time, not mine, not the woman who signed her name and handed him the keys. Our? Malik, I said carefully. Do you still have the closing documents? A beat of silence. Just one, but I heard it. Why? He asked, a little too calm. No reason, I said. I was organizing. Thought I'd keep copies for my records. You worry too much, he replied. It's taken care of. Don't stress yourself out. I'm not stressed, I said. He laughed once, short. Okay, look, I'm running. I'll call you tomorrow. Malik, I said, and I let a tiny edge slip in, like a pinprick. I love you. He hesitated. Love you too, Mama. Click. When the line went dead, Reggie exhaled. He's nervous, he said. Or guilty. I stared at my phone. He's always been good at sounding innocent. Reggie finished scanning and stacked the copies in a neat pile. There's something else, he said. When I pulled the insulation back, there were 2 different sets of screws on that junction box cover. Somebody opened it after the inspection. That's not standard. That's somebody making space. My skin prickled. Space for what? He didn't answer right away. He reached back into the cavity and pulled out a second item, wrapped in plastic grocery bags. Smaller, harder. He set it on the bench, unwrapped it, and revealed a flash drive. I stared. Is that? Yep, he said. And if there's one thing I've learned doing work in people's basements, it's this. Paper is for courts. Digital is for blackmail. The work light hummed. The concrete floor felt colder through the soles of my shoes. Do you have a computer? I asked. In the van, Reggie said. But before we plug it in, I need you to be ready. Ready to see your son, not as your son. My throat tightened. I've been ready my whole life, I lied. Reggie's van smelled like PVC glue and coffee that had been reheated too many times. He flipped open a battered laptop on the passenger seat, plugged in the flash drive, and clicked through folders. At first, there were nothing but scanned documents, bank statements, a copy of my driver's license, my social security number typed on a form. My hands began to shake as if the cold had finally reached my bones. Where would he even get this? I whispered. Reggie didn't look at me. He kept his eyes on the screen. From you, he said softly, from the trust you handed him like a gift. Then he opened an audio file. A man's voice filled the van, Malik's voice, caught in a casual moment, speaking like no one could ever hold him accountable. Yeah, she'll sign whatever, Malik said. She don't read fine print. She thinks I'm still 8. I felt like I'd been slapped. Another voice, a woman, laughed. Is she going to be at the dinner? No, Malik said. I keep her off stage. She's not the vibe. Vivian's people are different. They don't need to see where I came from. My chest tightened. The air inside the van tasted metallic, like a penny you've bitten. He kept talking. I told her not to come inside because she smells like old life, Malik said, and his tone carried a grin. She looked so hurt I almost felt bad. Almost. The woman's voice again, amused. That's cold. It's smart, Malik replied. This is a new chapter. I'm not dragging her into it. Reggie paused the file. That's not just cruelty, he said. That's motive. My fingers dug into my purse strap. That woman, I whispered. Who is she? Reggie clicked to the next file. Video this time. A shaky clip from a phone. Malik in the kitchen of the new house, laughing. Vivian in the background, adjusting her hair in the reflection of the microwave door. Vivian's voice floated in, crisp. Make sure she doesn't show up, Malik. My mother is sensitive. Malik smirked at the camera. Don't worry, she won't. I can handle my mother. Handle, like I was a spill. Reggie let the video play a few seconds longer. Malik leaned toward Vivian and lowered his voice, but the phone still caught it. If she starts acting up, I'll say she's declining, he murmured. Old age, dementia. People believe that, especially when it's a black woman with a library job. I heard myself make a sound I didn't recognize. Half breath, half broken laugh. Single mom betrayal wasn't a phrase in my head anymore. It was a living thing, a knife with my son's fingerprints. Reggie shut the laptop slowly. You want to call the police? I stared out the windshield at Malik's neat street, at the porch light glowing warm as if it welcomed everyone. Not yet, I said. Reggie's eyebrows rose. Ma'am? I know, I cut in, and my voice surprised me again. I know what it sounds like. I'm not protecting him. I'm protecting the truth. Reggie leaned back, studying me. Explain. If we call tonight, I said, he'll cry. He'll say he didn't mean it. He'll say it was paperwork, or he got scammed by someone else, or he was just trying to help me manage things. And Vivian's family has lawyers. They'll turn this into a misunderstanding. They'll paint me as emotional, confused, bitter. Reggie nodded slowly, like he'd watched that play before. So what do you want? I looked down at the diaper bag on the bench between us. I want him where he can't rewrite the story. Reggie's gaze sharpened. You mean in front of Vivian's people? In front of whoever he's been performing for, I said. If he's building a new life on my erased name, then I'm going to walk into the scene he thinks I'm not allowed to enter. Reggie's mouth tightened with something like respect. That's dangerous. It's already dangerous, I said, and I heard steel in my tone. I'm one missed payment away from losing everything. He's already done an eviction of a parent, just softer than a sheriff's notice. He shut me out and planned to take what was left. Reggie tapped the laptop. We need a timeline. We need more than audio and copies. We need proof the deed is forged. We need proof the loan is tied to that deed. Then help me, I said. Tonight. Reggie nodded once. All right. First, we protect you. He drove me back to my apartment and didn't leave until we'd done 3 things. Printed hard copies of every file, uploaded backups to a secure folder, and wrote a list of phone numbers, bank fraud departments, the county recorder's office, and a detective he trusted from a previous job. In my living room, the books on my shelves watched me like quiet witnesses. James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, Lorraine Hansberry, all those voices that had warned about masks and survival. Reggie stood by my kitchen table, hands in his pockets. Tomorrow morning, he said, we start with the recorder's office. We check if anything's been filed. Then we call the bank. Then we freeze your credit. I don't even know how to do that, I admitted. You will, he said. This is the part where the mother stands up for herself, not with rage, with paperwork. I should have cried. I should have collapsed, but something inside me had already clicked into a different gear. The softness I'd worn like a uniform was peeling away. My phone buzzed again. Malik. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered. Reggie's voice was low. You don't have to answer. Yes, I said. I do. I picked up. Hey, baby. Mama, Malik said, breathless. Listen, I need a favor. Of course he did. What kind of favor? I asked, forcing my voice to stay kind. I had some unexpected expenses, he said smoothly. Vivian's dad wants a certain wine, and the caterer needed a deposit. I'm short. I'll pay you back. I just need you to transfer your savings, the little account, just for a week. The little account, the one I kept for emergencies, the one I'd built from skipped meals and worn shoes. He knew every detail of my finances, like he knew the back of his own hand. I looked at Reggie across the table. He didn't move, but his eyes narrowed with fury. Malik, I said gently. How much? 5,000, he replied, as if asking for a cup of sugar. $5,000 to impress people who didn't want to smell me. My check doesn't even, I began. I know, Malik interrupted quickly. But you have that savings. You always keep something. Come on, Mama. Don't make this hard. I'm trying to build a future. Build a future? With my name and my money and my silence? I'll go to the bank first thing, I said. I'll see what I can do. His voice softened, satisfied. You're the best. And hey, don't come by the house tomorrow, okay? Vivian's mom is already stressed. Just rest. Rest. Stay invisible. Of course, I said. Good night, baby. Good night, Mama. Click. When the call ended, I set the phone down with care, like it might explode. Reggie's hands clenched. He's bleeding you dry. He's trying, I said, my voice flat. He thinks I'm still the same woman who swallows insults. Reggie nodded. That audio file? If it's admissible, it's powerful. But we need to confirm who recorded it. It might have been Vivian. It might have been Malik. But we can't assume. I don't care who recorded it, I said. I care that it's true. Reggie watched me a moment. You got somewhere you can stay safe? My apartment, I said. This is the only place I'm not a prop. He took out a small notebook and wrote something down. Tomorrow, after we make calls, I want you to see a lawyer. I can't afford… Reggie cut me off gently. You can't afford not to. And if you want justice for single mother, you need representation. The phrase made my stomach twist. Justice sounded like something other people got. People with neat hair and retirement accounts. Not a woman with library hands and a worn coat. But that night, after Reggie left, I sat at my kitchen table with the folder open like a wound. I read every line, every number, every date, and I began to see the shape of Malik's plan. Step 1. Keep me off stage, make me feel ashamed, make me doubt myself. Step 2. File paperwork that moved the house into his name without my understanding. Step 3. Borrow against the property and place the debt on my shoulders. Step 4. If I protested, call me unstable. Declining. Let the system do what it does to older Black women. Dismiss, delay, bury. It wasn't just cruel. It was calculated. A real estate scam family drama with my son as the lead actor and me as the disposable extra. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Malik's voice. She smells like old life. I stood up and walked to the bathroom mirror. The fluorescent light buzzed, harsh and honest. A 62-year-old woman stared back at me. Tired eyes, yes. Lines around the mouth, yes. But my back was straighter than it had been on that porch. I am not old life, I told my reflection. I am the foundation. The next morning, Reggie picked me up early. Chicago's sky was low and gray, like the city was pressing down to see what I'd do. We went to the county recorder's office first. The lobby smelled like wet coats and bureaucracy. People held folders like shields. I took a number and waited, my knee bouncing under the plastic chair. When my turn came, the clerk barely looked up. Name? Loretta Monroe, I said. She typed. Her fingers clicked. Her screen glowed. Then she frowned. My heart dropped. What? The clerk's eyes flicked to me, then away. There's a document pending, she said. Not recorded yet, but submitted for review, a quitclaim deed. A deed? I whispered. Under my name? She nodded. Submitted online, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, right after he shut me out on the porch. Reggie leaned in, controlled but sharp. Can we get a copy of the submission packet? The clerk hesitated. You'll need identification. I handed over my license with steady fingers. The clerk examined it, then printed a receipt and slid it across the counter. My stomach twisted as I read the line. Submitted by M. Monroe, Malik. The clerk lowered her voice. Ma'am, if you believe this is fraudulent, you should file a dispute immediately. I do, I said. Reggie squeezed my shoulder once, grounding me. We'll do it, he said. Right now. We filled out forms at a small table near a window that looked out on dirty snow. My hand moved across paper, writing my name like an act of reclaiming. Loretta Monroe, not a smell, not a burden, a person. After that, we called the bank listed on the default notice. We sat in Reggie's van with the heater rattling and listened to hold music that sounded like a joke. When a representative finally answered, I gave my information, my voice calm, rehearsed. Yes, I said. I'm calling about a loan in my name. I did not apply for it. I believe I am a victim of identity theft. The representative's tone changed instantly from bored to cautious. Ma'am, I'm going to transfer you to our fraud department. Fraud. Hearing the word out loud made everything real. A man from fraud asked questions. Security questions Malik could answer better than I could. My first address. My mother's maiden name. The year I graduated high school. Each answer felt like handing pieces of myself over to be verified. Then the man said, Ms. Monroe, The loan was opened using your personal information and a property valuation. The collateral is listed as the house on your son's street. My mouth went dry. How much? He told me the number. It was bigger than my yearly salary. Reggie's hands tightened on the steering wheel. And the payments? I asked. The man paused. Payments have been missed. That's why you received a default notice. I closed my eyes. Images flashed. Malik's smile, Vivian's polished face, the porch light glowing warm. All of it built on my debt. Can you freeze it? I asked. We can open an investigation, the man said, but you'll need a police report. Reggie mouthed, That's what I told you. I nodded slowly, phone pressed to my ear. I understand, I said. I will file a report. When the call ended, I sat very still. Reggie didn't push. He let me breathe. Finally, I said, he was going to take my savings too. Reggie's jaw flexed. That's why he called last night. I told him I'd go to the bank, I said. Reggie looked at me hard. You're not giving him a dime. No, I agreed. But I might let him think I will. Reggie's eyebrows rose. You're playing him. I'm surviving him, I corrected. We spent the rest of that day doing what I'd never done for myself, protecting my identity. We froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. We set fraud alerts. We changed passwords. We printed affidavits. Reggie talked me through every step with the patience of a man who'd fixed enough broken pipes to know pressure points matter. By mid-afternoon, my phone buzzed again. Malik. I put it on speaker in the van so Reggie could hear. Mama, Malik said, voice tight. Did you go to the bank? I pictured him pacing in that clean kitchen, glancing at his phone like it owed him obedience. Yes, I said. I went. And? His breath caught. Were you able to transfer it? I ran into some issues, I said carefully. They needed to verify some things. What things? Malik snapped. Fraud alerts, I said, letting the words hang just a little. Silence, then a forced laugh. Fraud alerts? Why would you do that? I got a strange notice, I said softly. A letter about a loan. The line went quiet, so quiet I heard his breathing. Mama, Malik said, slow now, warning in his tone. You don't need to be messing with paperwork. Those letters are always wrong. People get spam. You're going to confuse yourself. Confuse yourself. There it was again, the plan to shrink me until I fit inside a story he could manage. I'm not confused, I said. My voice didn't shake. He inhaled sharply. Look, just don't do anything drastic. Don't call anybody. Vivian's parents are coming tomorrow. I need you to be calm. I need you to stay home. Why? I asked, though I knew. Because, Malik said, impatience bleeding through. This is important. So was my name. So am I said quietly. He didn't answer. Then he said, colder, Don't start, Mama. You know how you get. I stared at the dashboard, at the dust gathered in the vents. How I get, I repeated. You get emotional, Malik said. You get dramatic. And you embarrass me. There it was. The truth he'd been circling. Not old life. Not smell. Shame. I'm not trying to embarrass you, I said. I'm trying to understand why there's debt in my name. Malik's voice dropped. If you make noise, he said, you'll ruin everything I've built. Built. On my back. Malik, I said, and I let my voice soften in a way that would lure him into talking. Did you file something at the recorder's office? A pause. Too long. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. The first lie came out smooth. The second would come quicker. I saw the submission, I said. Am Monroe. His breath hitched. Reggie held still, eyes on me like he was watching a door swing open. Mama, Malik said, voice hard now. You've been snooping. Snooping. I repeated. In the house I bought. That's my house, he snapped. The word my landed like a slap. I'm your mother, I said. And you're acting like a problem, Malik shot back. This is exactly why I kept you outside. You can't just be happy. You have to dig. Dig? He didn't realize how perfect that word was. He'd hidden the truth in a basement wall, and now he was angry that I'd put my hands in the dirt. Malik, I said, quieter now. Why did you hide those papers in your old diaper bag? Silence. Then he laughed, sharp and ugly. What are you even saying? You sound crazy. Crazy, declining, dementia. The script was the same one he'd rehearsed. I'm not crazy, I said. I'm awake. His voice rose. Who put you up to this? Reggie? That contractor? You let some man in your ear, and now you're accusing your own son? I pictured Vivian's face in that video, telling him to keep me off stage. I pictured Malik saying he could handle me. He wasn't afraid of Reggie. He was afraid of me becoming visible. If you keep this up, Malik said, and his voice dropped to a whisper that felt like a threat. I'll have to do something, Mama. What do you mean? I asked, though my stomach already knew. I mean, Malik said slowly, I'll have to get help, real help, because you're not acting right. And Vivian's dad has connections, doctors, lawyers. You don't want people thinking you can't live alone. My blood went cold. There it was, the nursing home threat, wrapped in concern. You'd put me away, I said. I'd keep you safe, Malik replied, voice sweet again. Because you're confused, and you're making dangerous accusations. I looked at Reggie. His face had gone tight with rage. Malik, I said calmly, I'm going to call you back. What? He began. I ended the call. For a long moment, the only sound was the heater rattling. Reggie spoke first. That's coercion, he said. That's elder abuse. I nodded slowly. And that's my son. Reggie leaned toward me. Ms. Monroe, we need to file the police report now. I stared out the windshield. People walked by on the sidewalk, bundled against the cold, carrying groceries, living ordinary lives. They didn't know a woman was sitting in a van learning her own child had built a cage for her. We will, I said, but not before tomorrow night. Reggie's eyes narrowed. Tomorrow night is the dinner. Exactly, I said. He's bringing Vivian's parents into that house to bless him, to legitimize him. That's his stage. Reggie shook his head. That's risky. So is doing nothing, I said. If we go to the police tonight, Malik and Vivian will say it's a misunderstanding. They'll hire lawyers to slow walk it. They'll spin it as me being emotional. They'll try to bury me again. Reggie exhaled, frustrated. What do you want then? I turned toward him. I want him caught in the life he's performing. I want witnesses who can't be bribed with my guilt. I want Vivian Sterling to hear his lies crack. I want her parents to see what their perfect match is built on. Reggie watched me a moment. And what if they defend him? I felt something in me settle, heavy and sure. Then they can defend him while the police read the paperwork. Reggie was quiet. Then he nodded once. Okay, he said. If you're doing this, we do it smart. We spent the rest of that afternoon preparing like we were building a case file, not a revenge story. Reggie helped me label every document. Recorder submission, default notice, bank fraud reference number, screenshots from the flash drive. We made a timeline on legal paper with dates and times. He wrote down the exact words Malik had said on the phone, especially the threat. You don't want people thinking you can't live alone. This is how they do it, Reggie said, tapping the page. They make you doubt yourself. They isolate you. They tell everyone you're declining. It's a playbook. A toxic son and mother playbook. Before evening came, Reggie asked one more thing of me. We should go back to the house once, he said. Not to confront him, to document the scene while it's untouched. Photos matter. My first instinct was to say no. My second instinct, newer, colder, said yes. We returned in daylight, when the street looked like a brochure. Reggie parked his van across from Malik's driveway and kept it casual, like any contractor doing follow-up work. I kept my head down and my hands steady, walking around back the way we'd come the night before. Inside, the house was silent. No music, no laughter, no performance. The air still smelled like primer and staged cleanliness. In the basement, Reggie shone his light along the studs and insulation, photographing the cavity where the diaper bag had been wedged. Then he pointed the beam lower. "See that?" he asked. A small pinhole lens sat above the utility shelf, aimed straight at the stairwell, almost invisible unless you knew to look. A cheap camera, the kind people buy online to watch a babysitter or catch a porch thief. My stomach dropped. "He's recording down here." Reggie's mouth tightened. "Or somebody is. Either way, it shows intent. He's collecting angles, controlling narratives." Reggie snapped photos, then used a small tool to pop open the camera's casing. Inside was a micro SD card. He slid it out and sealed it in an envelope. "Chain of custody," he said. "We'll treat it like evidence." On the workbench, where the diaper bag had sat, there was a faint rectangle in the dust, as if something else had been placed there recently and moved. Reggie ran a finger through the grit and found a corner of paper stuck to it. He lifted it carefully. It was a torn strip from a legal pad, and on it, in Malik's handwriting, were 3 words. Mom, declining, daughter. My throat tightened so hard it hurt. He hadn't just threatened the nursing home in anger. He'd planned the language. He'd drafted the excuse, like a speech. We left quickly, touching nothing else. Outside, the wind slapped my cheeks, and I welcomed it. The cold felt honest. On the way back to my apartment, I asked Reggie to stop at the library. He glanced at me. "You want to work?" "I want to remember who I am," I said. "And I want to check something." The library's front doors sighed open, and the familiar scent wrapped around me. Paper, polish, time. I walked straight to the public records terminal and pulled up the parcel number for Malik's address. The screen loaded slowly. Then a line appeared that made my vision blur. Document pending review. Quitclaim deed, submitted electronically. Next to it was the upload timestamp, and attached beneath, as supporting file, was a scanned page, my signature, lifted from some other document and dropped like a stamp onto a new lie. I printed the record screen and slipped it into my folder. Hidden documents discovery wasn't just in a basement. It was in the system now, trying to become official, trying to become irreversible. At my desk, I paused long enough to press my fingertips into the wood, grounding myself. The quiet around me wasn't weakness, it was training. I'd spent decades learning how systems file people into categories, how a name becomes a record, how a record becomes truth. Malik was betting I'd stay small, but justice for single mothers starts with refusing to disappear. I tucked the printout deeper into my folder, breathed in that library dust, and walked out. My due date had finally arrived. By evening, my apartment table looked like a war room, and for the first time, I didn't feel ashamed. I felt clear. Reggie left around 8, promising to meet me early the next day. I locked my door, checked it twice, then sat in the dark with the documents spread out like cards. That's when my phone buzzed again. A text from Malik. "Don't do this, Mama. You're going to regret it." My stomach turned. He knew. Not everything, but enough to be scared. Then another text. "If you come tomorrow, I swear I'll tell them you're sick." I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. He wasn't just trying to steal my name. He was trying to steal my credibility, my voice, my reality. I typed back slowly. "I'll see you tomorrow." I didn't add a heart. I didn't soften it. I let it be what it was, a boundary. My phone rang immediately after. "Malik." I let it ring, again and again. Each vibration felt like a rope pulling at the old version of me, the version that would rush to calm him, apologize for existing too loudly. I didn't answer. Instead, I stood up and opened my closet. In the back, behind my work sweaters and sensible shoes, hung a garment bag I rarely touched. Inside was a navy dress I'd worn to Malik's high school graduation. Simple, Clean lines. A dress that made me feel like myself when I'd almost forgotten what that meant. I pulled it out and laid it on the bed. Then I set my papers beside it, like armor. I moved to the bathroom and looked at my face again. The lines were still there. The tiredness was still there. But something else had arrived, something sharper. I'd spent years being careful so Malik could be bold. I'd spent years dimming myself so he could shine. Now I was done. The next morning, I woke before dawn. The city outside my window was quiet. The sky bruised blue-gray. I made coffee and didn't measure the grounds like I used to, pinching pennies even in a mug. I drank it slow, letting the heat settle me. Reggie arrived at 7 with a folder and a determined look. "You ready?" he asked. "As I'll ever be," I said. We drove to a small legal aid office on the west side, where Reggie knew a lawyer who'd helped a neighbor fight an eviction. The waiting room smelled like old carpet and hope. A woman named Patrice Hall met us in a small office, her hair pulled back tight, eyes sharp as tacks. She listened as I explained, flipping through copies, asking questions that felt like scalpels. "This is elder financial exploitation," she said finally. "And because it's tied to property and loans, it's serious. The forged house deed submission alone is a felony." My throat tightened. Hearing it from a lawyer made it heavier. Patrice looked at me over her glasses. "Have you filed a police report?" "Not yet," I said. "I'm planning to confront him tonight in front of his fiancée's family." Reggie shifted, uneasy. Patrice didn't flinch. She studied me like she was reading my spine. "That can work," she said slowly. "But you need to protect yourself. You don't go alone. You don't escalate physically. You state facts. And you keep the documents in your possession." "I will," I said. Patrice slid a card across the desk. "If anything goes sideways, you call me. And you call the police. Do you understand?" "Yes," I said. She leaned forward, voice gentler now. "Ms. Monroe, I need you to hear this. You can love your son and still report him. Love doesn't mean you let him destroy you." The words landed in my chest like a bell. We left the office and sat in Reggie's van for a moment, letting the city noise fill the silence. "You still sure?" Reggie asked. I thought of Malik's texts. I thought of the way he'd said safe while describing a cage. I thought of the deed submission stamped with his initial. "Yes," I said. "Tonight I walk into that house. Not to beg, not to plead, to speak." Reggie nodded. "Then we do it clean." We rehearsed in the parking lot like actors, except our script was truth. Reggie would stand near the door, quiet, a witness with a contractor's calm. If Malik tried to block me, Reggie would say, "This is her property. She has legal standing." I would not argue about feelings. I would not chase Malik's excuses. I would lay the papers down and ask one question at a time. Why is there a loan in my name? Why did you submit a quitclaim deed? Why is my signature on documents I never saw? I would not let him drown me in tone. Not this time. Around noon, Malik texted again. "Please, just stay home." I didn't respond. In the late afternoon, I dressed. The navy dress pressed. A simple pearl necklace my mother had given me. My coat, yes, the same charcoal one. I didn't change it to make myself palatable. I wasn't a smell to be edited. I packed my folder in my tote bag. Reggie packed his copies. Patrice's card sat in my purse like a talisman. As the sun began to sink, we drove to Malik's street. The porch light was on. Cars lined the curb. Vivian's family, maybe. People with money don't arrive alone. They arrive with vehicles and confidence. I could see silhouettes moving behind the curtains. Laughter, music, the clink of glasses, a performance. Reggie parked a house away so we could breathe before stepping into the spotlight. The cold air rushed in when I opened the door, sharp and clean. Reggie looked at me. "Last chance to turn back," he said quietly. I shook my head. "I already turned back my whole life," I said. "Not tonight." We walked up the driveway together. My heels clicked on the concrete. The sound was steady, deliberate, like punctuation. At the front door, I paused. Not because I was afraid of Malik, because I was grieving. Grieving the child I'd thought I had. Then I lifted my hand and knocked. Inside, the music softened. Footsteps approached. The lock clicked, and the door opened. Malik stood there in a crisp shirt, hair cut sharp, a smile ready, until his eyes landed on me. For a split second, panic flashed across his face. Real panic. The face of a man whose lie just saw daylight. "Mama!" he hissed low. "What are you doing here?" I looked past him into the warm glow of the entryway. I smelled roasted meat, expensive candles, something floral trying to cover something darker. "I'm here," I said evenly, "because my name is on papers in your basement." Behind Malik, Vivian appeared, elegant in a way I used to admire, and now simply observed. Her eyes narrowed when she saw me, not with pity, but irritation, like I was a stain on her evening. "My mother," Malik said quickly, too loud now, forcing charm into his voice. She's not feeling well. She gets confused." Reggie stepped forward slightly, calm as stone. "Ms. Monroe is clear," he said. "And she has documents." Vivian's expression shifted, a flicker of alarm. "Malik," she whispered. "What is this?" From deeper inside, I heard another voice, older, authoritative. "Is everything all right?" That voice belonged to someone Malik was trying to impress. I straightened my shoulders. "Everything is about to be honest," I said, and I stepped toward the threshold my son had tried to keep me outside of. Malik tried to block me with his body the way he had on that porch. Shoulder angled, smile pasted on, voice low like a threat dressed as tenderness. "Mama," he hissed. "Please, not tonight." Warm light spilled past him. Vivian hovered behind his shoulder in a cream dress, eyes flicking over my coat and tote like she was judging a stain. Reggie stood beside me, quiet and steady. I looked at Malik and kept my voice even. "Move!" His smile faltered. For a beat, I saw the panic under his polish, the same panic that had shoved hidden documents discovery into a wall and called it planning. Vivian's voice cut in. "Malik, who is he?" Footsteps approached from inside. A man appeared in the hallway first, tall, silver at the temples, wearing authority like a tailored jacket. At his side was a woman with pearls and a calm, assessing gaze. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, Vivian's parents, the audience Malik had been rehearsing for. Vivian straightened. "Dad, it's Malik's mother." Mrs. Sterling looked me over in one quick scan, the kind that files you into a category. Mr. Sterling offered a polite half-smile. "Ms. Monroe, we didn't realize you were joining us." Malik jumped in too fast. "She wasn't supposed to," he said with a brittle laugh. "She gets confused sometimes. You know, seniors." The word hit like ice. "Don't," I said. "I'm not confused," I continued. "I'm here because my signature is on paperwork I never signed." Reggie's voice stayed calm. "She has copies. Quitclaim deed submission, default notice, audio." Malik's eyes snapped to him. "Who asked you to speak?" "Truth asked," Reggie said. I turned back to the Sterlings. "I didn't come to start a scene. I came because there's a mortgage fraud scheme tied to this house. My name is on the loan, and a forged house deed was submitted to move the property out of my control." Vivian's mother's mouth parted. "A loan in your name?" "Yes," I said. "Against a house I purchased." Mr. Sterling held his hand out, palm down. "Let's sit," he said. Malik seized on it. "Exactly. Tomorrow we can talk when everyone's calm." "Tomorrow is how you keep me quiet," I said. "You shut the door, then call it respect. That's an eviction of a parent, Malik, just without a sheriff." Vivian flinched. Malik stepped aside because he couldn't physically block me in front of them without looking like exactly what he was. I crossed the threshold for the first time and followed them to the dining room. Linen, crystal, candles. 2 other guests stared at me like I'd walked in carrying bad news. Mr. Sterling gestured to the table. Reggie took a seat near the door, hands folded. Malik tried to regain the room with a smile. My mother works at a library, he joked, like my life was a punchline. She reads too much true crime and… Mrs. Sterling's gaze snapped to him. Malik, let her speak. Money protects itself, and tonight they could smell risk. I opened my tote bag and laid the folder on the table. The clasp clicked, small but sharp. I slid the first packet toward Mr. Sterling. Quitclaim deed submission, I said. Submitted 2 days ago. Fiancée by Loretta Monroe. Mr. Sterling didn't touch it yet. He looked at Malik. Did you submit this? Malik's lips parted. I was handling administrative stuff. My mom asked, he added quickly. I did not, I said. Vivian's voice went low. Malik. He swallowed. Quitclaims are normal. Families do it. Mrs. Sterling leaned forward. Why would she transfer a house she bought? And why do the dates not match the purchase? Malik's eyes darted. Because she wanted me protected. In case I die, I finished for him. A fork clinked against a plate. I pushed the second document forward. A loan in my name. Collateral. This property. Missed payments. Default. Vivian's mother inhaled sharply. A default? Mr. Sterling picked up the notice. His eyes moved fast. Vivian stared at Malik, her expression shifting from confusion to fear. You told me the house was clean, Vivian said. It is, Malik snapped. Reggie spoke once, careful and plain. The notary stamp format is inconsistent with county records, and the submission looks generated. This is identity theft family behavior. In a real estate scam family drama, they move title, borrow against it, and leave the owner holding debt. Malik turned on him. You're trespassing. I was fixing your pipes, Reggie replied. I looked at Malik. You told me not to come inside because I smell like old life. That wasn't about my coat. That was about keeping your lies from getting into the room. Vivian's eyes flashed. You said that to her? Malik's mouth tightened. I was trying to keep things smooth. Smooth for who? Vivian demanded. Malik stood up, chair scraping. This is a setup. She's mad I'm building a life. I pulled out my phone. I have an audio file, I said. I want clarity. Mr. Sterling's voice went colder. Play it. Malik lunged forward. No! Vivian rose, trembling but firm. Sit down, Malik. He didn't sit, but he didn't stop me either. Reggie connected a small speaker to my phone like he expected a denial. I pressed play. My son's voice filled the room. Casual, laughing, cruel. Yeah, she'll sign whatever, Malik said in the recording. She don't read fine print. She thinks I'm still 8. Vivian's hand flew to her mouth. Mrs. Sterling's eyes narrowed. I keep her off stage, the recording continued. She's not the vibe. Vivian's people don't need to see where I came from. Vivian made a sound, small and wounded. Then the line that froze the air. If she starts acting up, Malik said, I'll say she's declining. Old age, dementia. People believe that, especially when it's a black woman with a library job. The clip ended. Silence sat heavy on the table. Malik's face went bright with fury. That's out of context. Mrs. Sterling's voice was quiet, dangerous. There is no context where that is acceptable. Mr. Sterling pushed his chair back. You planned to discredit her mind so you could steal her assets. I was joking, Malik blurted. Talk doesn't submit deeds, I said. Talk doesn't open loans. Vivian's eyes filled, but her voice stayed hard. Were you going to marry me under this? Use my family as cover? Malik's mask cracked. Your family wanted a success story. You wanted to say you uplifted somebody. I gave you that. Vivian flinched. Her father's jaw clenched. Malik pointed at me. She's always been a weight. I'm tired of smelling like her struggle. Grief rose in my throat, but it didn't own my voice. You don't smell like my struggle, I said. You smell like your choices. Mrs. Sterling looked at me. Ms. Monroe, what do you want? I want my name protected, I answered. I want the deed submission stopped. I want the loan investigated. And I want him to stop threatening to label me declining when I question him. Reggie added softly, the bank will require a police report. Vivian swallowed. Dad! We need to call. Mr. Sterling nodded once. Malik's eyes went wild. No, Vivian, please. Vivian stepped back from him. I don't know who you are, she whispered, and she dialed. Malik's gaze darted around the table, landing on the folder like it was the real enemy. In one sudden motion, he reached across the linen, fingers clawing for the papers. Reggie was up before Malik's hand even touched the stack. He didn't grab Malik, didn't shove him. He simply stepped in, body between Malik and the documents, voice firm. Don't, he said. Malik's nostrils flared. Move, he snapped. That's my house. Reggie held steady. It's her name, he answered, and that's the point. Vivian's chair scraped back. Malik, give me your phone, she said, voice shaking. Right now. No, Malik spat. Your phone, she repeated louder. If you didn't do anything, you have nothing to hide. Malik laughed, sharp and ugly. You're taking her side? Vivian's eyes filled. I'm taking reality's side. Malik turned on me then, and the charm was gone. You think you're winning? He hissed. You think anybody's gonna believe you? You're old. You're alone. I can tell them you're not well, Mama. I can tell them you're declining. I can make it real. I didn't flinch. That's what you planned, I said. That's why you kept me outside. It wasn't my coat. It was control. Mr. Sterling's face tightened. You threatened to have your mother declared incompetent? Malik's eyes flicked to him, then away. I said she needs help. Mrs. Sterling's voice cut in, cold. Help is not a cage. I felt the old impulse rise. Explain him, soften him, save him. That was the toxic son and mother loop I'd lived inside for years. He struck. I absorbed. And then I apologized for bleeding. But the loop snapped tonight. I set my shoulders and spoke like a woman who finally believed her own reality. I am not asking you to rescue me, I told the room. I'm asking you to witness me. He used my love like a tool, and when I stopped being useful, he tried to erase me. The minutes after that felt like standing in a room where the air had turned to glass. Malik paced, muttering, This isn't fair. Mr. Sterling made his own call, lawyer calls. Vivian sat rigid, tears slipping down her cheeks. I sat still. Somewhere between declining and black woman with a library job, my fear burned off, leaving clean clarity. This wasn't revenge. It was justice for single mother, the moment a mother stands up for herself without begging. Headlights swept across the front window. A firm knock followed. Mr. Sterling opened the door. 2 officers stepped in, and behind them, a woman in plain clothes with a badge clipped to her belt. Detective Marisol Grant. Her eyes swept the room once, reading each face like a file. Good evening, she said. We received a call regarding possible fraud and elder exploitation. Vivian pointed with a shaking hand. It's him! Malik straightened. This is a misunderstanding. My mother is... Don't, Detective Grant said. Then she turned to me. Ma'am, are you Loretta Monroe? Yes. Do you believe your identity was used without your consent? Yes, I said. There is a loan in my name and a deed submission I did not authorize. Documentation? I handed her the folder. Copies and audio. Her grip was firm, respectful. Malik tried again. She's upset because I'm getting married. Detective Grant looked at him. Sir, stop talking. Step over here. He hesitated. One officer moved closer. Malik complied, jaw clenched, hands trembling. As they guided him toward the foyer, Malik twisted back to me, eyes bright with rage and fear. You did this. You ruined me. I held his gaze. I didn't ruin you, I said. I stopped you. His mouth curled. I hate you. I nodded once. I know. Hate is heavy, Malik. It's going to weigh more on you than it ever did on me. Detective Grant said, You're being detained pending investigation for identity theft and potential document fraud. You'll have an opportunity to speak with counsel. The door closed behind them with a click. For a moment, the house exhaled. Vivian shook in her chair. Mrs. Sterling wrapped an arm around her daughter. Mr. Sterling stared at the cooling dinner like it had turned to ash. Reggie leaned toward me. "You did good," he said. Detective Grant returned to the dining room doorway. "Ms. Monroe, I'll need a formal statement tomorrow. We'll contact the recorder's office and the bank. This will take time." "I understand," I said. "And ma'am," she added softer, "you did the right thing. A lot of people don't. They stay quiet." I stood. "I should go." Vivian lifted her head, eyes raw. "Ms. Monroe, I'm sorry. I didn't know." "I believe you," I said gently. "But my son wasn't protecting you from my old life. He was using your new life to bury me." Reggie walked me to the door. Outside, Chicago's wind hit my face sharp and honest, and I breathed it in like medicine. On the porch, I looked back at the house. Fresh paint, staged warmth, a place I bought and was told I didn't belong in. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like the end of an illusion. As Reggie and I stepped into the night, I knew one thing with a certainty that warmed my bones. No one would evict me from my own life again. The porch lights stayed on after they took Malik away, casting that warm, flattering glow over a house that had never truly warmed me. It was designed to look like safety, but I'd learned the hard way that some lights are just decoration, bright enough to hide what's underneath. Reggie drove me home in silence. Not awkward silence, the kind that respects a person who just watched something die inside them and didn't collapse. When we reached my building, he cut the engine and looked at me. "You okay to go up alone?" he asked. I tasted the question. 10 years ago, I would have said, "I'm fine, even if I wasn't," because that's what I'd practiced, being low maintenance, being easy to ignore. But tonight I told the truth. "I'm not okay," I said, "but I'm steady." Reggie nodded like that was the right answer. "Detective Grant will call. Don't answer Malik if he reaches out." "Not yet." I held my folder closer. The papers inside didn't feel like shame anymore. They felt like a spine. "I won't," I said. Up in my apartment, the heat clicked on with that familiar old sigh. My living room smelled like tea, paper, and my own life. Quiet, honest, unpolished. The same old life Malik had been so desperate to scrub off his shoes. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at my hands. Library hands, work hands. The hands that signed away pieces of myself without reading because I trusted the person across the pen. I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt, but because the hurt had already been spent on that porch when he told me I smelled like something he didn't want carried into his future. This was different. This was surgery, clean, necessary. The next morning, Detective Marisol Grant met me at the precinct. She wore the same calm seriousness she'd had in the Sterling dining room, like truth was her job and nobody's charm could bribe her. I gave my statement. I handed over copies. I explained the flash drive, the quitclaim deed submission, the default notice, the audio. I said the words out loud. Identity theft family, mortgage fraud scheme, forged house deed. Detective Grant didn't blink. "We'll coordinate with the bank and the recorder's office," she said. "You did the right thing reporting it." Her words should have comforted me more than they did. Because what I wanted wasn't just legal justice for a single mother. What I wanted, what I'd wanted for years, was my son to look at me and see a person. That wasn't something the courts could order. Patrice Hall, the legal aid attorney, helped me file emergency paperwork to freeze the deed transfer, dispute the loan, and lock down my credit. She spoke in clean sentences, in timelines and signatures. I listened like a student because for the first time in my life, I was studying how to protect myself. When Malik's public defender called a week later, asking if I'd consider working something out, I said, no. Not angry, not theatrical, just no. Because working it out was the old language. My language of swallowing and smoothing and pretending love meant letting someone take everything. I didn't hate Malik. That surprised me. I thought I would. Hate is an easy story, it keeps you busy. But what I felt was heavier and quieter. Grief for the version of him I had raised in my mind. I learned the charges would stick: fraud, attempted deed falsification, elder exploitation. The prosecutor didn't need me to perform rage. The documents performed truth on their own. Malik couldn't charm his way out when the timeline had his fingerprints all over it. Vivian Sterling sent me one message. A short one. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. I hope you're safe." I wrote back, "Be careful who you build with." Then I let that chapter close. A month after the dinner, I returned to the house, my house, one last time with Patrice and a locksmith. Not because I wanted to step into Malik's dreams, but because I needed to reclaim the reality Malik had tried to steal. We changed the locks. We documented everything. The deed stayed in my name. The loan investigation moved forward. And when I stood in the entryway, breathing in fresh paint and lemon cleaner, I realized something painful and freeing. I didn't want that house, not anymore. It had become a monument to the way I used to love that emptied me out and called it motherhood. I put it on the market. Reggie's eyebrows shot up when I told him. "You sure?" he asked. "I'm sure," I said. "I'm not keeping a stage I was told to stay off of." The day it sold, I went to my library and sat between the stacks like I was returning to a church that had always known my name. The quiet didn't feel lonely. It felt like dignity. And that night, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. Collect call, correctional facility. Malik. My thumb hovered over the screen, and I felt the old reflex reach for me like a hand. Answer, fix it. Save him. That's your baby. Then I remembered the audio. She'll sign whatever. She thinks I'm still 8. I remembered the word declining, written like a plan. I remembered being told my old life was a smell he couldn't allow in his future. I wasn't punishing him. I was protecting what was left of me. So I pressed decline. The screen went dark. The apartment stayed quiet. My heart still beat. I exhaled and whispered into the room, "I choose me." Because love without boundaries is not love. It's surrender. And if this story taught me anything, dear listeners, it's this. A mother can be soft and still be strong. A mother can grieve and still walk away. Sometimes the greatest justice for a single mother is finally becoming the person she kept postponing. If you're listening, and you've ever been made to feel ashamed of your old life, your honest life, if someone tried to evict you from your own worth, tell me in the comments what city you're listening from and what you would have done in my place. And if you want more stories where a woman stands up for herself and the truth refuses to stay hidden, please subscribe, hit like, and tap the bell. A window will appear at the end of this video. Click it to watch the next chapter.